Thank you all for tuning in. The following is a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the Palatial Home Studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Malden, Missouri. All in one breath. Joining me from a more than acceptable safe social distance is my guest for today, Mitch Krayton of Krayton Travel. How you doing, Mitch?
I'm doing splendidly, and yourself?
I am just peachy. I just got shots in my knees to make them feel better, so I am walking sans the usual pain and agony. But yeah, things are
I
looking
understand that
up.
it works well when you have measles. They shoot you in the knee.
That is the truth. But yeah, so things are going great over here. Well, the way I start the interviews these days is I ask the same question of everybody: who are you reading?
Who am I reading? I am reading business magazines, and I listen to a lot of novels in the car, especially intrigue and spy novels, things like that. Whenever I take a road journey, and every year we have a vacation cabin up in the north woods of Wisconsin, we will listen to one or maybe two audiobooks. And
Nice.
it sure does. Well, first of all, I love it when the author does their own interpretation, but when you get a very, very good narrator, oh my, it enhances the text tremendously. And so it just, when you're driving through Kansas and Nebraska, you need something to keep you motivated and staying awake. That's what we do.
Yeah. But, I know the feeling.
Yeah. So I don't read other than, business journals to stay up to snuff on all of the travel goodies that I feel like I need to be on top of. And what can I say? I go to sleep at night and I'm zonked. So I don't spend the last hour reading a good book. I should. That'd be a good one.
That would be. Anything in particular you've been listening to then?
I have been listening to wonderful classical music. Interestingly enough, when I want to detox, I will listen to the old masters. I'm a Tchaikovsky fan. I'm a Bach fan, a Beethoven fan, and my favorite piece, which will always lift me into good spirits, is the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. It is, to me, one of the most beautiful, powerful pieces of music. On the radio, I will listen to all the pop tunes, but I got to say, back when I was in my ute, I could tell you every artist on every label, but I can't do that now. I recognize them. I like what I hear, and away I go. So, especially I've been listening to a lot of classical arias. And I know that's unusual for folks, but I have a friend of mine who has been cataloging his favorite classics, and he has been doing a beautiful job bringing to light some wonderful performances, wonderful renditions. And it's always delightful to hear a new orchestra or a new singer sing something that you're very familiar with, and that little twist makes it always engaging.
Yes, indeed. I don't think people appreciate the small differences changing one little thing can make, like changing the performer. And it's definitely a great thing. I'm actually really I'm re-listening to right now. I'm re-listening to C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. And an interesting book or set of books, to be precise, as it comes in 4 books originally, but It always reminds me of the saying, "It's not that Christianity has been tried and found wanting; it's that it's not been tried." And but in addition to
No,
that, I'm
I
reading a bunch of
recently came
textbooks.
back. Oh, well, there you go. So you're sticking in a business mindset. I recently came back from a fabulous trip to Egypt,
Oh,
and
cool.
people said to me, "Well, Egypt, that's in the middle of the Middle East, and you got all this conflict." Well, it was 750 miles away from Gaza, Israel, to be in
Mm,
Cairo, and there was no indication that anything was disturbed or people were concerned about it. But what I found so absolutely endearing was right in the middle of Cairo, you have historic remnants of Christianity, Judaism, and
hmm
Islam, and they all lived happily together for hundreds of years. And
Yeah,
now, can we all just get along? I mean, that's a phrase that's sort of worn, but
a little
wouldn't it
bit.
be nice if we could just be respectful of people's points of view and
Yes.
live together and socialize together and have our kids grow up together, and instead of being taking the differences and finding them detractors, we take those differences and we find them colors adding to the total rainbow of humanity. So
hmm
to me, that's what travel represents to me. And everybody came away from this trip with their eyes wide open. You hear about the Greek myths and you hear about all of the, I don't want to say it, the pharaohs and the pyramids are spectacular in person. They're 41 stories tall, and you look at these
Yeah.
stones; they're 40 tons apiece. And you go, "There's
Wow.
no quarry here. Where did they come from?"
Mhm.
So, to me, not only was it an enriching trip because I got to see a country I've been wanting to see for a long time, but it was absolutely marvelous to see culture represented that I didn't quite understand and gave me great perspective to our current humanity. And, of course, Egypt was taken over by the Greeks and was taken over by the Romans. And all of these things are fascinating to understand how they became where they are in modernity. And, Alexander the Great, he was from Macedonia, which is Greece. So was Cleopatra. So, we think of Egypt as being, oh, these are all Egyptians. Well, no, these were Greeks. They have
Yeah.
nothing to do with the Egyptian lifestyle or the entire Nile River, which is an amazing uh, flow of water that goes uphill, one of the few that does go uphill. And it's when you come back, you're still talking about it because there's just that many different things to understand. The food, oh, it was amazing. We ate several times in local Egyptian restaurants.
Wow.
Really good
That's
food.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an amazing place. I love travel myself, but don't get the opportunity to do it as much as I'd like. But
Yeah.
yeah, Egypt is one of those places. You know, one thing that fascinates me about Egypt is Cleopatra is more recent to us than the builders of the pyramids were to her.
No
And that's
question
just
about it.
amazing to
Yeah.
think
It was,
about
it
those
was,
lengths of time.
yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, you find Egyptian history going back 5,000 years.
hmm
And so, in Colorado here, we see a building and it's 200 years old. We think, ooh, ramshackle. You go to Rome and it was 1,700 years ago. Or you go to Greece, it's 2,200 years ago. Well, this is 3,000 BCE, right? So you go, oh, wow. And it's still standing. That's the part that's amazing because these things most of them were built out of sandstone. And the
Yeah.
reason is the Sahara Desert only gets zero point 0.3 inches of rain a year. Otherwise, that sandstone would have melted away and none of this history would have been available to us. So,
Right.
we were between the feet of the Sphinx and got to go into the tomb of Tutankhamun. His
Wow.
mummy is still in the tomb, and we got some special VIP treatment. we got to be in the Valley of the Kings after the park closed. So we got to go into
Nice.
some tombs all by ourselves. And then at 4 o'clock the next morning, we got into a balloon for sunrise over the Nile. And so there we were over the Valley of Kings. The sunlight is coming up from the east, and it is glowing golden over the Valley of the Kings. And you have all of the fertile western development for agriculture, and everything is completely dry on the west. So I can tell you a little anecdote that most people don't appreciate. All of the tombs and all of the pyramids and everything are on the western side of the Nile. Do you have any idea why?
No, I don't.
Well, the sun rises in the east, so the Greeks, the Egyptians, that's birth of life. The sun sets in the west, which is death. So all representations of death were on the west. And that I found very, very fascinating. So you don't have any tombs on the eastern side of the Nile in Egypt. So
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing. Did you know that the sun is a different ancient Egyptian god from the one who controls the sun? Unlike in Greek mythology, where Apollo just rode the sun across the sky, the Aten is the sun disk itself.
Yes, absolutely correct. And the god of the sun is Ra. So you have you have the controlling Aten, and then the sun itself is called Ra. And the other fascinating thing, and this is for ladies, right? The god for femininity and beauty is a cow. So if you look at all of the Egyptian princesses, and if you look at Cleopatra and everything, their crowns have these horns on them, and so the feminine beauty was represented by the cow. So when somebody says, "Oh, you look like a cow," you say, "Thank you. That's an Egyptian compliment."
That's great. I will have to remember that and use that the next time I meet a lovely lady. I'm sure it will go over quite well.
Yeah, but don't do it on the first drink, or you're going to wind up wearing the drink. You have to have this into conversation. But it was truly amazing. We found representatives of the cow god in tombs everywhere, because their wife would be represented with beauty. Yeah. So, it's a matter of culturally all over the place. And, we went in Old Cairo. So I know you're into religion in a way. In Old Cairo, there is a synagogue and 2 churches. And in the synagogue, this is where Moses apparently was retrieved out of the River Nile. And they actually have, now the Nile has receded since then, but they actually have a pond where they approximate where Moses was taken from the water. And then they have the church where Jesus, Mary, and Joseph took refuge during the plague. And so they lived there, and they had a hidden area behind the altar. And so again, it's mind-boggling what you don't learn about how ancient people lived and how they survived troubling times. And they did.
Yes.
They were very able to get through things. Famine was a big thing. Drought was a big thing. So they had to make do. That's what travel does for me. And I tell that to people. It's not about just staying in a luxury hotel and getting a massage, although, that's a nice thing to do too. Get outside the hotel and visit with local people and learn their history and, what experiences do they have in their environment with education and culture and art and history. And then you come away not only with new friends, but you come away with this amazing insight about everything you complain about here, stop. We have so many resources in this country. We have
Yeah.
so much that even our poorest people have cell phones here. They don't have dirt floors, and they don't have corrugated plastic for roof.
Right.
We
Got it.
are
Indoor
an
flush
abundant
toilets.
nation. Oh,
Yes.
and drinking water you can drink out of the tap.
Yes.
Nowhere in
I mean,
Egypt can you drink the water, even out of a 5-star hotel, can you drink the water
Wow.
out of the tap. They give you bottled water. Yep.
Okay.
Same thing was that in Vietnam. I was shocked. We were in this amazing hotel where before the Vietnam War, all the celebrities would go and everything. And right where the faucet is, it says, "Do not consume."
Wow.
You would think they could install a water purification system, but again, these are the things we just take for granted. Flush toilets and drinking water are two of the major ones.
Yeah. You ever want to start a fight? Go to a city in the in Saharan Africa and tell them that you flush 3 gallons of drinking water down the toilet every time you go to the bathroom.
Exactly. What they wouldn't do to have that 10 gallons of water for drinking and cooking and bathing and oh my gosh. Yeah, but we really do. We have it very. I always tend to kiss the ground on my return back to the United States, and then I listen to all the squabbles that are all online and all on TV, and I say this stuff is so trivial. It is, you have medical attention, you have clothes on your back, you've got a roof over your head. Stop it. I know there's a lot of people who are struggling, and we have a lot of homeless, and my heart goes out to them. But for the most part, we're one of the most abundant resources and places in the world. And I fervently believe that, if you're willing to work, then there's somebody willing to let you work and give you an opportunity to thrive. So that's my
that is
2
for
cents.
sure.
And yeah, I'm actually now going to another ancient civilization. We'll be going to Greece at the end of October. And so there you have more antiquities and more history and more myths and more things to try and figure out. And here's the birthplace of Alexander the Great, and here's where Cleopatra was raised. So we think of Mesopotamia, we think of Iran and Iraq, but it's also Egypt. So not Egypt, I mean Greece. So it's a fascinating world we live in, and you only going to get a small piece of it as you travel through school. But when you experience it and you meet with people, and you see they like a cup of coffee or a cup of tea every day. They love to play a game of backgammon or chess. They love to talk. They are welcoming you into their home, and they say, "Have you eaten yet?" And the first thing they do is commune over food.
Yes.
So as poor as they may appear to be, they're willing to share what they have as a token of friendship. So I learned these things. It just makes me a better person. Really, really does.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that the audience takes that away.
When I was growing up, my father was doing what are called temporary active duties for the Navy for a while, and so we homeschooled, and we went from place to place as we did so, and so things like history class took a completely different turn because we'd open up the books and look and see, this is what happened at Gettysburg and all this, and come on, let's get out of the car and go see where it happened. And and getting to touch the ancient things and where and walk where others have walked and bled and died and all of that stuff. It's an amazing difference.
That's the whole thing. We have amazing history in this country. You don't have to go internationally. Just take a drive 100, 150 miles and see an historic site. Right?
Yeah.
We have major rivers. We've got beautiful national parks, which again is something that you don't find in many countries around the world. And they're all very well maintained and open access. And like you were saying, getting to Gettysburg and all of the Civil War remnants, you can read that in a book. But it's one thing to stand on the field and envision 15,000 people out here with musket rifles and a couple of cannons.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my God, no wonder so many people were slaughtered all at one time. You know, and but that's the lesson we have to learn about. Why are we so angry? We just get along. It's just amazing to me. So I get up every day looking to learn something, looking to meet somebody new, and my life is filled because I'm always meeting somebody new. And anybody can reach out to me and at LinkedIn or at Facebook or something like that if they want to discuss their travels or just are interested in going to visit. They're welcome to do that. But I see people travel for their own reasons, and it could just be nothing more than sitting under a forest of trees listening to the wind rustle. There's no airplanes and there's no loud trucks and none of that. They're just in their own. So,
yeah. Hey, I was curious. How do you decide where to go when you're traveling?
Me, so I have my what I call my bucket list or my gold list or my preferences, and these are things that interest me. And everybody has their own interest, Bill. You might love music and you want to tour sites where your famous artists are, whether it's the artist formerly known as Prince or Elvis or what have you, and that's fine. I have a client of mine. He's a baseball guy, and he wants to visit every national Major League Baseball park.
Wow.
That's on his wish list. And so people travel for their own reasons. Some people travel just to get away from where they live. And for them to go to a resort that has a beach maybe or a nice pool and then just chill out for 7 days, that's what they consider a vacation. For me, my point of view is I can always lay at a pool or, sit in the sun where I live.
Sure.
Can't always do that in the middle of winter if you're in Vermont, but at least I know in the summertime it's possible to do that. For me, if I go someplace, I want to know how it came to be. I want to meet the people, eat the local food. Food, and again, like I said, it connects so many people and so many cultures. I want different than what I do for myself every day. The more different it is, the more broadly my worldview becomes, and I think I become a better person for it. And I'm more understanding. Would I eat worms that are pulled out of an old twig? I don't know. But some people live on that, right? I have had grasshoppers and I have had fried ants. Okay, they're crunchy. They don't really have much flavor, but there's some protein in there for somebody in some households.
Yeah.
And so I always say I'll try something one time. I may not care for it, but the good news is somebody introduced me to sushi, and I haven't stopped. So some people think of sushi as raw. Man, how are you going to eat that? Well, you try. You eat the cooked version first, and then somebody will give you a piece of raw tuna, easy to go through, and then from there you try all the other different raw fish categories and realize different textures, different smells, different tastes, and that's the Japanese cuisine, a combination of flavor, taste, smell, and presentation on the plate. You go, oh, well, so that is an art form. This is the French do with their sauces and laying things out on the plate. Every culture has their stuff. So for me, I just have a list of the places I want to go, and I ultimately will check them off. And I'm now traveling with 15 or 20 people that want to travel with me. So I've got a group going in the end of October, and we're going to be staying in Athens, and then we'll be going to all of the mainland sites that are well known, and then we'll get on a ship, and we're going to cruise around to 6 islands in the Aegean Sea. So That to me is a very thorough way of seeing a country. And you have to visit some of the islands in Greece, or you wouldn't have seen Greece. But again, Athens and everything on the mainland was significant too. So two different lifestyles in one country. And so that's what we're doing now. So I have that going for me. And I still love the United States. So like I said, every fall, we go for a long drive from the Denver area through to northern Wisconsin. And here's a little tip when you're trying to drive someplace and it's long and you've never been there before. There are two sites that I would recommend anybody look up. One is called roadsideamerica.com. It's a free site, and it's where you'll find the biggest ball of string, the biggest ball of postage stamps, but you'll also find the Field of Dreams. You'll find people have done sculptures out of the weirdest material to create incredible art. We found the future birthplace of James Tiberius Kirk, and the whole Star Trek team has come in and supported this little town you would have never suspected, but they have a museum there with a transporter and a bridge, and you can buy your very own badge. So it's a fabulous 4-hour stop, and that's what the United States has to offer. You don't need flights. You don't need to go very far away. And again, all that costs nothing. You just get off the side of the road and go. And then the other one is something I call atlasobscura.com, Atlas Obscura. They're not only in the United States, they're all over the world, finding the most obscure things in your local backyard, like a castle that somebody built and you didn't even know it was there. And so they're fun to do and cost nothing. So I always think there's always a way to see. Vacation has this lovely word in the middle called vacate. So you can vacate the humdrum of your everyday life and take a vacation, do something unique. And for me, that's the joy. I hear the stories when they come back going, I would have never expected this. This was amazing. This was fabulous. And I said, did it break your budget? And they go, no. And then I have the clients that they want to be pampered for everything, and they want a cruise ship with their own butler and the finest linens and the best food from all over the world and everything in between. So it's a pleasure to be in this business, to just see what people will do to benefit themselves, to treat themselves. We do have a problem in the United States, and this is something I don't know if you know, is the only country in the world that does not guarantee time off.
Wow.
Every other country guarantees a vacation, time off. We have many companies that do give it, but it's not in law. Right. If you work in Germany, you get 3 weeks off. Forget about it. If you work in Italy, you get 3 weeks off. And, Britain's anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. And so that's why during the time off, they migrate to other parts of Europe. So the Germans like to go to Sicily, the Brits like to go to Spain. So I mean, they all have their own favorites. We're across the pond, so we're still pretty expensive for Europeans to come and visit, but we couldn't survive if we didn't have American tourism. So we have lots to offer them too. And I hope you can think that I might have great joy in the travel business.
It sounds like it. Hey, my extended family is starting to talk about taking a summer vacation together. Any recommendations?
Mm-hmm. When you gather together, what do you like to do together? I have to ask questions because there's no one right answer. Do you like to just chill on a beach? Do you like to play volleyball together? Do you like to, sit around and have a brewski and just talk sports all day?
There's
what are
definitely
the
some of that.
Bind you?
There's definitely some of the drinking and hanging out. But some of the stuff we've been talking about has been like going to various national parks and outdoorsy kind of things, which some of us can do and some of us can't, uh, and to varying degrees. And let's see, the last one we did, we went to Pigeon Forge, out in
Well, that's fun.
yeah, and
Dolly
we did the
Parton's
whole
Dollywood.
yep, all of that. We went and did the Hatfields and the McCoys, and of course the Whiskey Trail, but and all.
Well,
See my
you can do the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky. You can do the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky,
yep.
and go see all the horses in Tennessee. You know, that's a lovely thing to do, and so you got lots of drinking and lots of fun things to do. You can actually go to Churchill Downs, and you can see where the stables are. You can see the jockey. I stood on the jockey scale and broke it. It's fabulous place to go to, because everybody knows Kentucky Derby, but have they ever been to the famous track? Yeah, Florida is always a lot of fun. You got lots of beaches and lots of drinking. You could even take a short cruise. And the nice thing about a short cruise is that on these larger ships, they have activities that are suitable for people of all ages and all abilities. So you could take a 4 or a 7 day trip to the Caribbean. And on the ship, you've got dining establishments, you've got entertainment, you've got shows. If you like bingo or you want to play a little gambling, they've got casinos. And then when you get off the ship, they have their own private islands, and you can just sit there and drink and, stay by the pool all day, or go out, on the ocean part of the island, and you can do a jet ski and do all this stuff. So, that's a fairly less expensive way of taking a family vacation, so that everybody can do their own thing. But then when they come back at night, you all are dining at the same table, sharing your experience.
Right.
So that's something to bear in mind.
That's,
All-inclusive
that's
resorts
something.
are very similar to that too. We just don't have a lot of all-inclusives in the United States. But an all-inclusive resort will have a kids area, they'll have an adults area, they'll have an activity area for water sports, and then they'll have the bar and the hotel and the dining venues where you can just fill yourself up to happy all the time.
Okay.
So those are the kinds of things where you have diverse abilities and diverse interests. They provide those, and yet you can get together and share a meal, which is really, again, coming back to food, but that's how you can compare your day, and nobody feels like, oh, I didn't want to go here because this is what you like. I don't like it. Well, there's something for everybody. So a cruise or an all-inclusive resort, something to consider. The bourbon. If you like the whiskey cruise, whiskey tour, you'll like the bourbon tour. Same thing if you go to Scotland, you'll love the Scotch tour.
Yeah.
And plenty of beer tours in England, Germany, Netherlands. I mean, we have river cruises that travel the Rhine and the Danube, and everybody makes beer completely differently. And so you can taste beers from all over the world in 1 week.
Wow.
I've done that, and that's a pretty fascinating way to go. Your hotel floats down the river, so you only have to unpack once, and that's a lot of fun. So I give you suggestions because I still would want to ask you a jillion more questions. What's your budget? What is your ability to? Some people when they get to a place, oh, I'm gonna hike up to the top of that castle, and you go, okay, I'll watch. and other people, oh, I want to ride a bike along the river. Okay, I'll watch. But that's why they have activities for different activity levels, different interest levels, and everybody can do a little of their own thing, but yet they can also reach out and try to do something a little different if they choose to, because you have options every day. So that's kind of fun. So I hope that was insightful.
Yeah, I got a couple of good ideas out of our discussion so far. I definitely want to check out that atlasobscura.com and what was it,
You'll love it.
roadsideamerica.com?
Roadsideamerica.com. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I'm gonna have to check that
you
out.
will find things you go, I would love that. All the ghost towns,
Yeah.
all of the weird places. One of the things we discovered last year, we went through. Oh, I'm trying to think of which state it was, but it was the Laura Ingalls estate from Little House on the Prairie.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's out here in Missouri.
it's all yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. And it was just two of them. And
Oh,
so
that's right.
you walk around. They give you a golf cart to go. They give you a golf cart to go to the different venues. They showed us how you make your own rope, and the life story of a pioneer family. Again, the books are wonderful, but hey, this is behind the scenes. So it opens up another layer, a completely different layer to the books as you read, and then you want to go read them again because that'll give you more insight to how something was phrased or what they were referring to, and that's what travel does for me.
Well, that's great. Now, of course, I'm going to put your links in the description, but how can people get in touch with you to get their travel plans underway?
So email me, Mitch at Krayton Travel, Krayton Travel.com. On LinkedIn at Mitch Krayton, and I'm on Facebook at Mitch Krayton. And love to visit with anybody who has a question or is willing to share some of their wonderful stories. Because I honestly believe that the storytelling that you do when you come back from a trip lasts a lifetime. Often I have grandparents and they say, well, I want to do something for my grandchild. They just graduated. And I said, take them on a trip with you. What? I was going to buy them a car. I was going to buy them this. I was going to buy them that. And I said, in 3 years, what you buy them will be gone. But have they ever seen you laugh out loud? Have they ever seen you do silly things? Probably not. And those memories will be with them forever.
I always try to give people experiences.
Things.
I always try to, when I'm giving gifts, I try to give some kind of experience. It's not easy all the time, but it is possible.
Well, you can give me a bottle of scotch, and I'll have the experience of consuming it.
Will do. You can have the second bottle of scotch I make.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm into beer brewing myself right now, but I'm thinking about doing a little distilling. So.
Well, that's ambitious, and I wish you good luck with that. And if I get a chance, I will.
Well, it's been great talking with you.
I just want to help people make memories and not regret that they didn't do what they were hoping to do. So yeah, that's me.
Yep.
Krayton Travel.
Krayton Travel.
And pleasure to be with you, though.
Yeah, the pleasure was all mine. It was great having you on the show again. This time 1-to-1, so I can get to know you a little bit better. And I think we've accomplished quite a bit of that. And come back anytime, and we'll have another interesting conversation. Any final words for the nice people?
So instead of making excuses, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the ability, make reservations. You will be very happy you did, and make memories, not regrets.
Absolutely. And then from me, be safe out there, everyone. Wash your hands and stay tuned for the ending credits. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank our producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host. I'd also like to thank my special guest, Mitch Krayton. Support the show if you feel so led over on patreon.com. We're known as Bald Spots Pro. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasts are offered. Be sure to tune in next time when my special guest will be Russ Thomas, who combines Christian values and money making to fund the kingdom of God, and Robert White, who is a leadership mentor with 1.3 million graduates. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. If you or someone you know needs support now, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. That is the suicide and crisis lifeline here in the United States.